As I let you guys know in a previous video, you are always manifesting in every moment, and it's based upon who you are in this moment. We're always constantly flowing, fluctuating, changing. It's when we become conscious of our manifesting powers that we start to, number one, realize it, and number two, realize that we're always at cause, and number three, start finding tools and ways that and modalities that we can change who we are in the moment and what we're focusing and intending upon and who we can become. So when we start taking a look at some of the different tools that our body, brain, and mind and soul give us, that is where we can really start making some real changes in who we are in the moment and then what is coming at us. One thing, the two really important things to look at, and the one we're going to really focus on today is emotions, but emotions and thoughts. So thoughts are simply the language of the brain. That's all they are. We need to stop giving them so much importance. Thoughts are like sand in an ocean. There's all kinds of them. And it's the thoughts that actually feed us, the thoughts that help us, the thoughts that we prefer, that we can give attention to. That's all they are. Thoughts are not us. We are not our thoughts. But more importantly, this video is actually going to be more about emotions. Emotions are simply the language of the body. And emotions are really what we are wanting to attain in the first place. If you look at anything that you want to bring into your life, any situation or thing or person or anything of that nature, it's simply that you want to experience that feeling in your body. That's what it is. Well, when you realize that, then you understand that you can trick the system by actually experiencing that feeling right now in this moment. And then what that does for you, it doesn't take away the desire for what it is that you want, but it makes what you desire to bring in the most natural thing for you. You can't create, or actually you create from the state of being that you are. So if you want something that's really kind of a higher level thing for you, you have to be that higher level. That's why sometimes you'll see people attain the most wonderful things and then turn right around and lose them. It's because they don't maintain that status of that being their natural state. So you want to attain the natural state first so that whatever it is that you want to bring into your life, just magnetically, just energetically speaking, frequency, however you want to think about it, matches that level of who you are, becomes the most natural thing, and it comes to you and it stays with you because that is normal for you. That's why you'll hear a lot of people that are coaches, that are business coaches, and they'll ask you, they'll say, okay, if you make this lot of money that you want to make, what's the first thing you're going to do? Say you wanted to bring in $10,000 per month in your business. They'll ask you, okay, what are you going to do that first month that you get the $10,000? And most people are going to talk about how they're going to pay off the bills, they're going to buy this, and they're going to do that, and they're going to do something else. And what they're doing is they're getting rid of that $10,000 as quickly as they can. Their brain is coming up with all kinds of ways that, logically speaking, they should get rid of that money. And the business coach, if he's a good business coach, is going to say what you need to do is you need to keep that, or the bulk of, as much as you can, you need to keep as much as you can of that money in your account so that that level of account becomes the normal for you. And once that level of account becomes normal for you, that becomes who you are. And then you immediately are at a higher level of a business owner, because it's no longer that you're expecting, on a good month to get $10,000 a month. And money is just an energy level. So I'm not trying to make money the big thing, but I'm just saying that it's a really easy thing for us to understand and experience, because we are in a world that requires money to be able to do most of the things that we want to be able to do. But if you hang on to that money the best that you can, then that becomes your new level of status for yourself, in your mind, in your brain, in your accounts, and then that becomes your new normal. And then the next month, you're probably going to start expecting a little bit more than the 10,000, and you finally get to this level, and everything is energy. That's why it's really important to find you a coach, and don't find a cheap coach, because you get what you pay for. And what I mean by that is that you put in the level of commitment by what you've paid. That's why you'll see things out there that, really aren't worth that much more, but we have this value ticker in our mind, especially with like luxury goods. A lot of luxury goods, yes, some of them are very well made, but there are other things that are well made that are much less expensive, and it's about that status. It's about the way that it makes us feel. It's about the way it makes us show up. So what I'm saying is that the most important part is your state of being, who you are, who you're being, how you are feeling. And one way to work on that is with the energetic scale of emotions. Abraham Hicks teaches that there are 22 different levels of emotions, and on each different level, something different is available to you. As you go higher and higher in that scale of emotions, more and more things are available to you. In other words, more thought levels, more ideas, more abilities to move and change in the world. And what is actually happening is that you are activating more of your brain, because emotions, what they do is they create chemical changes in your body. They cause different glands in your brain and in your body to release different types of chemicals, and those different chemicals determine what parts of your brain are actually firing at that moment. The more cohesive your brain and your heart space is, the more that if they did like a scan of your brain, the more of your brain that's actually being activated, the more intelligence, the more wisdom, the more of what is possible you have accessible to you. And so you're no longer moving from your fear brain. You're no longer just thinking of things of how to, either run or to fight. You're now thinking of ways to collaborate and work and build and all those types of things, but those are only accessible to you in the higher patterns of emotional energy. And if you are, I used to be this for years. I was depressed and anxious, and think of it as like a boat is your emotions, and you're heading this way. Well, it's almost impossible for a boat to immediately turn around, or think about it as a ship. It's almost immediate. It's just impossible for a ship to completely turn around 180 and go the other way and go to on a different level or a different direction. What happens is it has to slowly turn. And the same is for our emotions. Think about how the different levels of emotion have different frequencies and different patterns, different wavelengths. The lower the emotion, the worse you feel, the slower and the denser that your pattern is. And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to raise that pattern. You're trying to raise those frequencies up to higher and higher and higher levels. And then what that does is it activates different parts of your brain and actually connects you with universal mind, so that things that are beyond your own wisdom start becoming available to you. I know for myself that when I have been in deep meditation, that's where ideas that I didn't have before, or connections I didn't have before, suddenly became very apparent to me. And I was in this state of where wild horses couldn't have stopped me from doing whatever it was I got the intuition to do, because I simply knew. I had this like automatic just knowing that if I do this, or I don't know if I do this, something will happen. It was more like I have to do this, right? Without any type of really even expectation. It's just this is my next level of joy. This is my next joy step that I'm going to take. And it's always, 100% of the time, always come out with the very best things. If you're in fear, the next thought, the next inclination you have to go is usually, I'm probably going to say 100%, not ever going to come out with something you really enjoy. It always matches each other. And if you can't do this for yourself, think about those that you care about, because you can only give out to others that which you have. So if you have children or a significant other, or you're concerned about your animals or the world or whoever it might be, or even maybe just for your future self, you can only give the gift that you have. That's all you can do. So what you want to do is you don't want to blame yourself for being in a lower emotional pattern. You simply want to understand that that is simply a language. That's all it is. It's simply an indicator. Say you're driving down the highway, you start going into the other lane, and you start hearing this little bump, 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 bump as your tire starts to hit those little speed bumps or those little markers that show you you're going out of your lane. That's no indication that you're a bad person, that you've done something wrong. It's simply a warning sign letting you know, hey, you're going out of your lane. It's just something to get your attention. That's all that emotions are. It's simply a language. And once you understand the language of it, you can stop putting so much identity around it. Because a lot of times when you are in fear or depression, you start saying things like, I am fear, or I am fearful, or I am depressed. And then you are making these statements out to the universe where you are that thing. That is what you are. When you use an I am statement and you follow it with anything, you have made yourself that thing, and you've made that proclamation to the world, to the universe, to the angels, that is who you are. That's how you identify. That's how you see yourself. And that is who you will be in the next now moment. And then that is what is available to you, is whatever is on that wavelength. So what you want to do is you want to find what your next level of joy or bliss. In other words, you want to find what feels a little bit better. So for instance, if you're in fear, grief, depression, despair, powerlessness, the next thing that might feel a little bit better is guilt or unworthiness. Those don't sound much better, or even really, maybe they don't sound better, but they are just a little bit higher of a level. So if you can get up to that, then you have increased, and you will actually feel better. You'll feel better in the moving up into those feelings because it's at a higher wavelength, and it gets closer to the twinning of between who you are being right now and who you actually are on an energetic universal scale. The next one up from that unworthiness or guilt would be jealousy. And then next up from that would be hatred and rage, and then revenge, and then anger, and then discouragement, and then blame, and then worry, and then doubt, disappointment, overwhelmment, frustration, irritation, impatience, pessimism, boredom. And then you get to contentment, hopefulness, optimism, positive expectation and belief, enthusiasm, eagerness, happiness, passion. And then at the higher levels of joy, empowerment, freedom, love, universal knowledge, that is usually right around the top level. But you can see how a lot of those words sounded negative, but from the step below, they're actually positive. Think about them as like rungs on a ladder, or as like a cliff face with like little handholds or little ledges that you can get up to. And so a lot of times you may have to get up to a ledge, and perhaps you might go up 2 or 3, you know what I mean? And then you have to kind of rest in there for a moment and experience the feeling better of being there. Because, if you are in depression and then you feel anger is going to feel pretty good from depression, because at least you are moving, at least you are feeling empowered. You are back into your space of knowing that you have options, because in depression and fear, you feel optionless. You feel like a victim. You feel like everything is happening to you and like there's nothing you can do about it. So when you get up into the energy level of rage and hatred and anger, you're actually in a space where you're starting to move that emotion. You're starting to change it. You're starting to reflect it back out towards you. You're finding a way to make that pattern, disturb that pattern to where you are becoming this new person. And then once that becomes your new next normal, then you can start moving up into those other moments. You've had, and I've had those moments of where I've been in anger, and I've expressed it. And then I've had that kind of dampening afterwards. I feel almost kind of like, ugh, what have I done? Because above it is discouragement. So discouragement and blame. So, and sometimes it's even blame about ourselves. And then later on, as I keep going up and up and up, I can see the gift that anger actually brought. This happened for me pretty recently with my little brother that has cerebral palsy, and he's in a group home. And I had to become a really, really, really awful person. I had to become super angry and really express that anger in the most adult way I possibly could, because Mama Bear came out. And that's one thing, when we talk about love, people think that love is like, airy fairy angels and butterfly wings and all this kind of stuff. Love is also Mama Bear protecting their baby bear. And that's who I became. And it was a lot of energy. But you know what? He has the best care today that he has had for the past 4 years. So many things have changed that I've been asking for change that didn't happen because I was trying to be the nice guy. And finally it got to the point of where I got super angry because I came in on a situation that was unacceptable. And I blew my lid in as much of an adult way as I possibly could. And that anger pushed and it created a change. And now I can see the gift of that. But I'm not going to stay in that state because anger will feed upon you. Anger is not a sustainable level that you can be at. Anger is something that you only, anger is all emotions are valid in their time, in their moment. They are simply a language of the body. And sometimes they are necessary. You just have to learn how to move in them. You just do not want to identify with anger. So what I identify with, and you'll hear me say it a lot, I identify with joy. I identify with being fully empowered. I identify with universal wisdom. That is what I identify with. So when I don't have those, I know that I am not being truly all of me. And then I start doing what I need to do to get myself back up there, whether it's through journaling, whether it's through scripting, whether it's through meditating, whether it's through talking to people that are already at that higher level, people that know me that can help me step back up into that. But what I have done is I've learned to understand that to not identify with those feelings. I identify with the feeling of who I want to be. And I want to be a joyful light to the world, understanding that I'm not always going to be in that pattern, and that is okay. But also understanding that the work is when I'm not in that pattern to get back into that pattern that I desire myself to be, or how I see myself, or how I intend myself to be, to get back into it as soon as I possibly can, but understanding it's okay when I'm not, but I don't identify with those lower levels. So it's so important for you to understand what emotion really is. It's simply a language of the body, but also the effect it's having on you, because different emotions create different chemicals to be released by your brain and by your body. And that what it will do is it changes mainly your brain chemistry, so it changes what is available to be activated in your brain. If they do brain scans of you in fear, there's only a very small part of your brain, your amygdala, that's actually being activated. Most of your brain is just dark because it's not being lit up. But what it also does, it affects your entire body. It makes your sympathetic nervous system to activate, which means that now all the blood is rushing out to your extremities because you're getting ready to run. Your heart is beating faster. Your blood pressure goes up. And so, and you start to constrict in your vital organs. Your stomach and your heart and your lungs and your liver and your kidneys. These very vital organs begin to get less and less blood supply because blood is being shunted out to the other extremities of the body so that you can go do things. Well, those are very important organs, and the more blood flow that those very important organs have, the cleaner your blood's going to be. The more oxygen content, or the better oxygen and acid levels of your blood. The better, the happier your cells are going to be. The more raw resources that your cells in your body are going to have to be able to do their job to keep you in a state of health, to keep you in a state of stasis. You are only meant to be in that sympathetic nervous system for very short periods of time. But when we make fear our pattern, we stay there a lot. And then you start seeing these people, they start getting very bad color. And they start, there's those very important vital organs start not doing as well. And they start not being able to, they start getting joint pains and all kinds of things start happening because their lymph nodes are shutting down. And just, so more of their toxins are staying in, their acid levels in their blood are going crazy. All these things start happening so that you're not in that most optimum state that you can be in. So the higher of an optimum state you can be in, the more that's going to be available to you, the more that you can do, and the higher levels of understanding that you'll have. And that's all tied into your emotions. And the emotions are just the indicators of where you are. That's all they are. But they also can be used as a stepping stone, or they can be used as a guidepost of, okay, where am I currently? What am I feeling? How am I feeling? How am I in my body feeling? And how can I feel the next level up? What can I do? You always have options. You always have abilities, because no one else can climb into your brain and tell you what to think. No one else can climb into your brain and tell you what you identify as. They can try, but it's up to you to accept that. And you are the one that accepts it or doesn't accept it. And you can either tell a person in that moment that you don't accept it, or if you don't feel comfortable, just tell yourself you don't accept that. And then, work however you can with meditation, exercise, eating correctly, taking care of yourself, increasing your, even just doing little things in your own environment, like cleaning up your environment or organizing a drawer, things of this nature that put you into an empowered state and let you know that you do have some control. You have exercise the control that you have to make your space as good as you can, to make you feel as good as possible. And then that's how you show up. And then that is what's possible for you. I'm so excited to see what will happen to you. Let me know down below how working with your emotions and climbing up your emotional ladder has changed your life. I know it has absolutely changed mine. Join me at my free private Facebook group, Divine Angelic Manifestors. There will be a link down in the description below. And I would love for you to subscribe and click on that bell so that you can see whenever I am posting. I am posting more and more now. I'm on YouTube, and I'm on Facebook, and I'm on TikTok, and doing all the things. And I just want to say love, peace, release, and thanks for watching. Hey, while I've got you, have you ever wondered more about the angels, who they are, how they can help you in your life, and what you can do, and what your full potentiality is? How do you live in joy? How do you have peace? How do you have health and abundance and good relationships? And just how can you traverse the angelic realm and finally let go of the pain and suffering that you are going through right now in whatever is in your life? You ever wondered? I would love for you to join my free private Facebook group, Divine Angelic Manifestors. You'll see the link at the end of this video, or down below rather, but go to facebook.com/groups/Divine Angelic Manifestors. It's free, it's private. I would love to see you there. Love, peace, release.